Amber Nicole Thurman. Amber Nicole Thurman.
Amber Nicole Thurman.
That's right. And she had her future all planned out. And it was her plan. You know, let's understand, just take pause on that for a moment. She had her plan, what she wanted to do for her son, for herself, for their future.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to enter into the record an article from Newsweek that tells the truth about Amber Nicole Thurman, who died after taking abortion pills. She did not die for the lack of abortion. She died because of abortion. Abortion pills are what led to her death. And this has been a lie that has been told by the Vice President, Kamala Harris, and this is a lie being told by Democrats. This Georgia woman died from abortion pills. So thank you. I'd like to...
Without objection.
You know what it sounds like to me, and it's going to sound harsh. She had a plan, but her plan simply didn't work. It's unfortunate, and it's heartbreaking, but it didn't work. That's not the law's fault. That's not the abortion ban's fault. But in this video, with disgusting ass, manipulating, gaslighting ass Kamala Harris, you will see her manipulate this story to blame it on her political opponent to get political gain. After just dissing Trump for going to the Afghan soldiers' memorial and saying that he was doing that for political gain.
This is Kamala Harris's post on X. She says, "Let me be clear. The former president disrespected sacred ground, all for the sake of a political stunt. This is nothing new from Donald Trump. This is a man who has called our fallen service members suckers and losers and despairs Medal of Honor recipients. This is a man who is unable to comprehend anything other than service to himself." First of all, there's a lies in that statement. But to put those on the side for a minute and just look at what she said about how he disgraced or dishonored a solemn place. Ma'am, he showed up to Arlington National Cemetery. Where were you? These service members died, apparently, while you were the last person in the room making decisions that led to their death.
When we became a team and got elected, that the vice president was going to be the last person in the room. She didn't realize that means she gets every assignment.
Biden famously said that he wanted to be the last person in the room with President Obama. Do you have that relationship with President Biden?
I do.
You do?
I do. And I take that responsibility quite seriously.
He just made a really big decision. Afghanistan.
Yes.
Were you the last person in the room?
Yes.
And you feel comfortable?
I do.
I've never heard you utter their names. I've never seen you meet with their parents, many of whom invited Donald Trump to be there. I've spoken to their parents. I've met them and shaken their hands and hugged their necks. Where the hell were you on that day? And all you want to do is make a political point out of it. You're the one making this for show, and that is absolutely dishonorable.
This week, the case of a young woman who lost her life after the abortion ban took place in Georgia made national headlines. Amber's case came to light through the reporting of journalist Kavitha Sarana with ProPublica. And so listen to her story.
2 years ago, 28-year-old Amber Nicole Thurman, a medical assistant and a single mother to a 6-year-old boy, found out she was pregnant. Amber had just secured her own apartment and was thinking about going to nursing school. She made the decision to terminate her pregnancy. A strict abortion ban had recently taken place in her home state of Georgia, which caused Amber to travel to North Carolina for the procedure. Traffic made her miss the appointment, so the clinic gave her medication, what are known as abortion pills. Once back home, Amber experienced profuse bleeding, vomiting, severe pain. She eventually passed out. Her boyfriend called for an ambulance. At the Georgia hospital, Amber's condition deteriorated quickly. In a rare occurrence, it was discovered her body had not expelled all the fetal tissue and an infection was spreading. Official Georgia State medical expert analysis of her case says Amber should have received a life-saving D&C, but doctors waited 20 hours before deciding to take her to surgery. Amber's blood pressure had taken a dive. Her organs had started failing. In the operating room, her heart stopped. On the way to surgery, Amber's last words to her mother were, "Promise me you'll take care of my son."
All right, let's put some things in perspective real quick before we continue to watch this video. One thing I did notice was they always say terminate pregnancy. They never say kill another human being. They never say kill the baby. They say terminated pregnancy. But let's just put some things in perspective because I know it's going to be a lot of context left out of this story because it's a whole lot of gaslighting and manipulation going on. So she traveled to North Carolina to get some abortion pills to end her pregnancy, right? After taking them, she got sick and she had to go to the hospital. Now they're saying that the doctors at the hospital waited to help her because of the abortion law. But here's the thing, we actually don't know why the doctors waited. No one has shown any real proof or record from the hospital to say the law was the reason for the delay. So we can't just assume that's what happened. Plus, the law they're talking about doesn't stop doctors from helping in situations like this. The law allows doctors to step in and take care of the problem if the baby has already passed away or the mother's life is in danger. That's exactly what happened in this situation. Some people think the doctors was confused about the law, but even if that's true, it doesn't mean the law is the problem. If the doctors misunderstood it, then that's on them. The law is pretty clear. They could have helped and had to do what they need to do in this situation. Now, if the doctors were afraid of getting in trouble and waited because of that, it's still their misunderstanding, not the law itself. We don't know for sure why they waited because they haven't even explained it yet. But even if they made that mistake, it doesn't mean the law was the cause. Lastly, we got to be careful. It's important to be cautious when hearing stories like this because sometimes people like Kamala Harris use these stories for political gain, to manipulate and tug on the emotions of American people, and to blame and condemn their political opponent.
Amber's mother, Shanette, and older sisters, CJ and Andrika, are here, and they wanted to be here tonight to speak out for the first time. Ms. Shanette, what do you want us to know about Amber's story?
Initially, I did not want the public to know my pain. I wanted to go through in silence, but I realized that it was selfish. I want y'all to know Amber was not a statistic. She was loved by a family, a strong family. And
you know one thing that Kamala Harris is really good at? She may be empty upside. She may be a dumpster fire, dumb human being, but she's really good at pulling on the emotions of the American people, tugging on these emotions and having her to be able to move in the directions that she want to go. You got to be able to see through that. That's manipulation. That's gaslighting. She's really good at that. And that's why she's like, man, look, this campaign that I'm running, I'm losing steam. But one thing that I can do is pull on the emotions of these people, especially these women, especially black women, and get them to go out and vote for me, especially on this abortion thing.
we would have done whatever to get my baby, our baby, the help that she needed. When ProPublica came to my home, I pushed them away. No, but Kavithia, she was persistent. She said, it was something that you needed to know. You have to hear me. Women around the world, people around the world need to know that this was preventable. 2 years later, after speaking with my daughters, because I lost strength, I lost hope, you're looking at a mother that is broken. Mm-hmm. The worst pain ever that a mother, that a parent could ever feel.
See, here's my thing, and the problem that I have with this whole story. Why 2 years later on Kamala Harris' presidential campaign? Why now? It's just really interesting how we can say Amber's name, or Kamala Harris can say Amber's name and bring attention to this story, but she can't say Lincoln Riley's name. Let me tell you the difference between the two. Lincoln Riley, we could point directly back to the reason and the source of why this happened. We could say Kamala Harris' negligence in disgusting job at securing the border is the reason why Lincoln Riley passed away.
I asked her, the VP today, because she's the most qualified person to do it, to lead our efforts with Mexico and the Northern Triangle and the countries that help. We're going to need help in stemming the movement of so many folks stemming the migration to our southern border.
Students at the University of Georgia meeting for a vigil tonight in honor of Laken Riley.
Yeah, police say an undocumented migrant killed the Augusta Medical College student on the campus of UGA last week.
Caroline Elliott joins us live from Athens, Georgia, with the latest on the investigation. Caroline.
Well, Don, Scott, we saw thousands of students show up today to honor Laken Riley just a couple miles away from where police discovered her body over the weekend. Today, friends described her as the sweetest person you would ever meet and someone who's ultimately taken way too soon at just 22 years old. UGA police confirmed that Laken Riley died by blunt force trauma while jogging on campus last week, and autopsy results could come as early as this week. The suspected killer is 26-year-old Jose Ibarra, an undocumented migrant from Venezuela. Ibarra remains in jail without bond and faces charges including murder. ICE confirms the accused killer entered the U.S. illegally through El Paso in 2022. Records show just 5 months ago, New York law enforcement arrested him on charges of child endangerment, but ICE says the NYPD released him. During the vigil today, we heard from several students who don't feel safe on campus anymore.
It directly ties back into her. But see, now they want a Lincoln Riley story for the left. And they are using this abortion story where this lady passed and blaming Trump and saying his abortion ban laws so they can have a story for political gain. All right, let me add more context to the story, put some more things into perspective. It's not that the doctors just neglected her and forgot about her and didn't care about her. Her blood pressure was low. So when your blood pressure is low, doctors are very reluctant to put you under anesthesia and work on you. They have to stable you first because it's a myriad of things that can happen. And I got a list here. 1, shock, a life-threatening condition requiring immediate intervention. 2, inadequate blood flow can lead to organ dysfunction or failure, which we could stop there because that's what ended up happening. 3, cardiovascular complications. 4, hyperfusion. 5, excessive bleeding. 6, increase of anesthesia complication. And 7, delayed recovery. Even in this report, it doesn't seem like the doctors just forgot about her. It seems like the doctors were struggling with trying to stabilize her and fighting the infection or slowing the infection down at the same time. Let's go through this together and you be the judge. She got to the hospital at 6:51 p.m. Her lower abdomen was tender, according to the summary. Her white blood cell count was critically high and her blood pressure was very low. At one point, As Thurman got up to go to the bathroom, she fainted again and hit her head. Doctors noted a foul odor during the pelvic exam, and the ultrasound showed possible tissue in her uterus. That don't sound like neglect to me, but let's continue. After assessing her at 9:38 p.m., doctors started Thurman on an antibiotic and an IV drip. The summary said the OGBYN noted the possibility of doing a DNC the next day, but that did not happen in the following morning, even when the OB diagnosed an acute cervical sepsis by 5:14 a.m. Thurman was breathing rapidly and at risk of bleeding out, according to her vital signs. Even 5 liters of IV fluid had not moved her blood pressure out of the danger zone. Doctors escalated the antibiotic. That right there is saying that we did not want to put her under the anesthesia. We did not want to do surgery on her because her blood pressure was extremely low. If you do that, I just list off the things that could have possibly happened. So it's a situation where it's like, all right, we got to stabilize her. We got to get her up to do this surgery. Even though this surgery may be minor, still, if there's a possibility of you stabilizing her first, let's do that versus just taking her under the knife and risking her life anyway. Let's try to save it by stabilizing, then operating, versus it's just low and we going in and operating, and because of her blood pressure is low, she could have organ failure. But see, you will have the Kamala Harris, you will have Oprah, you will have the left telling you, oh, it's just neglect. It was the abortion law. They didn't know. They was kind of confused on if they could help the person. They had to wait till she was at death's door to help her out. But that's just not what happened. Even when reading this report, and the lady is stating the summary that was left in the medical report, it doesn't seem like they just neglected her. Let's continue. At 6:45 a.m., Thurman's blood pressure continued to dip, and she was taken into an intensive care unit. At 7:14 a.m., doctors discussed initiating a DNC, but it still didn't happen. 2 hours later, lab works indicated her organs were failing, according to experts who read the vital signs. At 12:05 p.m., more than 17 hours after Thurman arrived, the doctors who specialize in intensive care notified the OGBYN that her conditions was deteriorating. Thurman was finally taken into an operational room at 2 p.m. By then, the situation was so dire that the doctors started with open abdomen surgery. They found that her bowels needed to be removed, but it was too risky to operate because not enough blood was flowing to the area. The reason why they tried to stabilize her. A possible complication from the blood pressure medication. An expert explained to ProPublica the OB performed the DNC and immediately continued with a hysterectomy. During the surgery, Thurman's heart stopped. So now that we added a little bit more context to the story, and you know, hey, the doctors were trying to stabilize her blood pressure so she wouldn't die or have organ failure or a list of the things that I just mentioned. That's why they was taking so long. But let Oprah, let Kamala Harris tell it, and the left tell it, and them brainwash this family that's grieving. Oh no, it's because of the abortion law. The doctors, they were scared. They didn't know what to do because they didn't want to go to prison. This is what I mean by you got to get through this bullshit and this gaslight and this manipulation. Cause they'll sit up here and tell you it's one thing. They'll piss on your head and tell you that it's rain. And it's just simply not true. So just saying, oh, the doctors didn't want to give any help because of the abortion ban is dishonest. It's manipulative. And it's just simply fucked up, bro. And then you have the left pushing for this story to come out. And now 2 years later it come out. You have Kamala Harris using it to do what? Pull on the emotions of the American people, especially these women.
Her father and myself and the family.
Where is the father, honestly? That is a question I had. When she brought up the father, you know, it would have been nice to see the man in the picture here. I don't know. Maybe he couldn't make it. I don't know. But it would have been nice to see the father sitting beside, you know, this family. But we don't know, so I'm not going to guess. I'm not going to assume that it's just the left in their agenda to delete the nuclear family and get rid of the nuclear family, like Black Lives Matter said, like these trained Marxists want to do. I'm not going to assume it, but it just would have been nice to see a man in this picture as well, you know.
You're looking at it.
Well, we appreciate so deeply you being here. And we're all watching you hear that tape and those words. We know how re-traumatizing that is and the strength it takes for you to be here to tell your story. And we deeply appreciate it. And I have to ask you, as her sisters, how are you coping? And what does knowing that this could have been prevented, how does that sit with you? How do you cope with that on a daily basis?
I mean, it's heartbreaking. You know, that was my baby sister. I loved my baby sister, you know. I'm beyond hurt, disappointed. I feel guilty. I wish I could have helped her, you know, because she was suffering. Mm-hmm. And we had no idea. We trusted them to take care of her, you know. Mm-hmm. And they just let her die because of some stupid abortion ban. They treated her like she was just another number. Mm-hmm. They didn't care for her as if, you know, she was their daughter or their, you know, granddaughter.
Yeah.
You know, and she's not here. She'll never come back.
Yeah. Andrika, what do you want to say?
I want to say that it's very disheartening that my sister was allowed to suffer for 20 hours. She suffered. It was nothing that we could do to help her. We trusted the healthcare professionals to do their job and save her, but they failed her.
These people are good, bro. They always get somebody black to come up and get people emotionally moved. They did it with George Floyd. Now they're doing it in this situation. She's suffering with the black vote. It's only the right thing to do to bring attention to this story and it be a black woman, to get more black women to come out and vote on this issue. Is it sad? It's sad, yes. I'm not trying to be insensitive. I know I could come off a little insensitive, but it is sad. But when you look through the cloud and the smoky mirrors, you will see the BS. And when I say BS, I'm not talking about the death, but I'm saying the BS on the political side of the left. All right? Another thing that I find interesting is that one of the leading causes in America is what? Malpractice when it comes down to these doctors. So could this be another case of just a malpractice of the doctors assuming, hey, we're going to do this, or she's getting better and they end up being wrong, and it's just being another, and I know they said she's not a statistic, but I mean a statistic on the end of the malpractice. It could be, but what they're going to do, they're going to say, oh, no, it's because of the abortion ban and blah, 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 blah. It's Trump's fault. It's disgusting, bro.
Well, I think the most powerful thing that you've said here, Ms. Jeanette, is that your daughter is not a statistic. She had a life. She was loved by her sisters, loved by her family, loved by those who knew her, and she's not just a statistic. And we are happy to speak her name tonight in this room, talking about what this country needs in terms of reproductive rights and freedom. What do you want to say, Madam Vice President?
Now, look at this fucking word salad, and this the real insensitivity. She can't even fake the emotions. She's gonna get stuck, and then she's gonna go to blaming Trump because she don't know what to say.
So sorry. And the courage that you all have shown is extraordinary, because also you just learned about how it is that she died.
Because y'all told her how she died. A new reason. Matter of fact, because y'all brainwashed her on a new reason why she passed away 2 years later and they just finding out. I find it hard to believe. Because see, now what happened is you gaslight and manipulating them to saying, it's the abortion ban, it's the abortion ban, it's Trump, bad man, bad orange man. That's why they just finding out.
And
they just recently learned. Yes.
How?
Yeah.
And Amber's mom shared with me that the word over and over again in her mind is preventable.
Yeah.
Preventable. That word keeps coming to her.
Mm-hmm.
And this story is a story that is sadly not the only story of what has been happening since these bans have taken place. And
preventable. I'm sorry. Boy, that girl fake as a fuck, bruh. She can't even fake the emotions, bro. It's no way, no how people falling for this BS.
You know, so just to step back in terms of how we got here. The former president chose 3 members of the United States Supreme Court with the intention that they would overdo the protections of Roe v. Wade.
Mm-hmm.
And they did as he intended, and in state after state, including yours, these abortion bans have been passed that criminalize healthcare providers. In a couple of states, prison for life, Oprah. Prison for life in a couple of states for a doctor or a nurse who provides health care. And so it seems very apparent
even when the mother's life is in danger.
See, that's the gaslighting I'm talking about. Providing health care. All right. The law does not stop the doctor from administering health when the mother life is in danger or the baby has passed away. What it stops the doctor from doing is sticking a tube up the woman and cutting the limbs off the baby. Using the instrument. Go watch an abortion video and what happens. They stick this tube up, they cut off the arms, they cut off the legs, then they cut off the head and they pull up, they put it on them, pulling on them, and then they suck it out. It's a very gruesome scene. So that, in a lot of people's eyes, is considered murder because that's another human being. Do you have the choice? Is it your body? Yes. The choice starts way before you begin to go through your pregnancy. It starts with contraception. It starts with maybe abstinence. That's hard, I understand. Using a condom. It might break, I understand. Using a plan B. The plan B might not work, I understand. But guess what? You knew all this could happen when you laid down. Understanding what can come from having sex with another person. Pregnancy. Some people say the 3rd trimester, 2nd trimester, 1st trimester, but guess what? It's back in the state's hands. And in the state's hands, guess who has the power? You. You could literally go to your ballot and you could vote. Whether it be 1st trimester, 2nd trimester, or even sometimes to conception. And in some cases, after birth. I know Kamala Harris just lied to y'all and said it's not possible or it ain't no states that can happen, but it is.
But her vice presidential pick says abortion in the 9th month is absolutely fine.
This is going to be a fun one. In January of 2023, the state of Minnesota made law the Protect Reproductive Options, or PRO Act. It is a sweeping piece of legislation. There are no restrictions on when a mother can get an abortion. This bill legalized 9-month abortions. Minnesota's governor, Tim Walz, also known as Kamala Harris's VP pick, signed it into law. Kamala Harris says it's not true. That was a lie. If Tim Walz did not support legalizing abortion at 9 months, he wouldn't have done it.
Don't want to gloss over, though, the lie that they told. That they didn't fact check, all sorts of lies from Kamala.
That's right.
But when Trump pointed out that there are prominent Democrats, and there are states in this country where babies are killed after birth, and Lindsay Davis came out and said, that is not true. There is no state where this is happening.
There is no state in this country where it is legal to kill a baby after it's born.
Not only is that a lie, but Kamala Harris's own running mate, Tim Walz, repealed protections for babies who survive abortions in the state of Minnesota.
Which, by the way, survives abortion in this instance means are born.
Are born.
Right.
So they try to kill the baby is born. There are legal protections in some states that say if the baby is born, you have to provide medical care as you would to any other human being. And Tim Walz, within the last 2 years, repealed those legal protections. That is Kamala's own running mate. It is the most egregious lie. It blows Candy Crowley 2012 out.
But you know how they get around that, though, because in that case, what they do is they put the baby to the side and leave the baby to just die. They don't directly kill the baby. And so that's like the game they're playing. Well, if you just leave a child to die, you're not killing him, which Trump, it would be a great thing to point out.
If a mother is in labor, I can tell you exactly what would happen. The infant would be delivered. The infant would be kept comfortable. The infant would be resuscitated if that's what the mother and the family desired. And then a discussion would ensue between the physicians and the mother. So I think this was...
No, I'm talking about your bill. How late in the third trimester could a physician perform an abortion if he indicated it would impair the mental health of the woman?
So, through the third trimester. The third trimester goes all the way up to 40 weeks.
Okay, but to the end of the third trimester.
Yep, I don't think we have a limit in the bill.
Where it's obvious that a woman is about to give birth. She has physical signs that she is about to give birth. Would that still be a point at which she could request an abortion if she was so certified? She's dilating. I'm asking if your bill allows that.
My bill would allow that, yes.
Care Clinic in Bethesda, Maryland.
Thank you for calling, Karen. How can I help you?
I am looking to have an abortion.
How far along are you?
I'm 34 right now. I am in a pretty desperate situation. My boyfriend is kind of out of the picture now, so I don't really have any support.
An abortion at any stage is actually much safer than delivering a term pregnancy. It's a 4 to 5 day procedure. We do some basic lab work on you and start to dilate your cervix. After that, we do what we call the fetal injection. A needle is inserted through the abdomen and into the fetal heart where lidocaine is injected, and that will completely numb the fetus so there's no pain. And then after that, we inject a medication called digoxin and another medication called KCL into the fetal heart, which will slow and then stop the fetal heartbeat. And then on that 4th day, depending on how your cervix is dilated, we'll break your water, and then we'll give you a medication called misoprostol. Misoprostol will sort of induce contraction and increase the dilation of your cervix. You're going to have contractions and cramping, and then we'll assist you in sort of pushing in the induction and then remove all of the products of conception. You're definitely going to feel discomfort and cramping and a lot of pressure, but we do give you fentanyl and Versed during the procedure. We specialize in later trimester care. Our doctor is very well versed in what he's doing, and he's very good.
So I'm not like a rare situation. Y'all help women this late in pregnancy all the time?
All the time.
What's the problem with that? Here's the problem with that. So is she on death's door before you actually decide to give her help?
Mm-hmm. That's the problem.
Is that what
Yeah.
we're saying?
Is she has to be on death's door before you administer help? How about the baby's not on death's door and you just go kill it? I know a lot of people gonna lean pro-life, pro-choice, whatever. At the end of the day, people gonna make their decision. If they want to be a murderer, that's on them. But I'm not for abortions, but it is what it is. I can't tell a woman what to do with her body. I could scream to the top of the moon, hey, don't kill the baby. That's murder. But at the end of the day, that baby sits in that woman. That's between her and God. She gonna either keep it or kill it. But I'm not for murdering no baby. So, listen, man, I know I might came off a little insensitive. I know this pro-life, pro-choice topic always gets a little sketchy. But I just wanted to bring light to this situation on how you have Kamala Harris manipulating the people, gaslighting the people, and taking advantage of this woman's story and her pain for her political gain. Listen, you are me, I'm you, we're one of the same bodies. Remember, keep your head up, keep your nose clean. You save the world, you live forever. Peace.